This first feature is hella sneaky. They would show up at these readings and not do nothing and just be there. And then one of their friends told me at Chismes how they won the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize. So it was just here like, so it's an honor to have them here and read, and it's very significant. I feel that they're kind of opening up the Floricanto in a lot of ways, because yo, the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize, come on, man, come on. The Montoya family is like the Chicano fucking folklorists for us, and like, yeah, so it was a big deal, and it's an honor having them here. So yeah, so it's special. So I'm gonna read their bio and then let them read. This is echoey.
Because you're next to it.
God damn it. I'm gonna stand right here. Okay. Maria Esquinca is a writer and producer. Her poetry has appeared in Michigan Quarterly Review, Waxwing, the Florida Review, Glass, Journal of Poetry, Cream City Review, and others. Her book reviews and interviews have appeared in Adroit Journal and Anmali Afronteriza. She was born in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, and grew up in El Paso, Texas. She's currently based in Oakland, Califas. Find her on Twitter and on her website. This year, Maria was the inaugural winner of the Andres Montoya Poetry Prize. Familia, give it up for Maria.
Hello. Hi. Hold up. Thank you so much, Josiah, for inviting me to be here. I'm so thankful for how supportive you've been and the space you create here. It really does feel like a very sacred, special place, and I'm so honored to be here. And I was gonna say something else, but I forgot, so I'll just go ahead and start. This poem is called A Theory of Miraculous Creation. It is a little echoey, okay. Can you hear me good there? Yeah. Okay. A Theory of Miraculous Creation. My father zips through the roads of Monterrey, yellow buggy full of buzz. The breeze slaps his warm cheeks as he rolls down the car windows, releasing the warmth of a gaggle of drunk bodies, stacked like a deck of cards. Ha-has and no mames way hurl out of tequila tongues, happy valleys, happy hearts. The weed and coke swarms through their veins, a spout of cackles, disjointed words, consonant nonsense, demented dental students looking for an out of their boring lives, too dazzled to feel the car swerve into a crash, sending them cascading like beheaded prayers. When my grandpa made the trek from Ciudad Juarez to Monterrey to pick up my dad, he was surprised they made it out alive. The only injury on my dad was a patch of a scar in the shape of South America on my dad's left arm. A scar he would trace with his index finger as if searching for a treasure on a map only he could read. Casi me morí. My uncle's theory of this miraculous survival is that God wanted him to live. Dios no quiso que se muriera. He tells me his friend's son almost died in a car crash too. The truck rolled down a field in flames, a random malfunction. My uncle theorizes on miracles, things God intervened, breaking the hold of death like seeth to grain. My dad lived to make me and my sibs. Le faltaba algo que hacer. Quantum physics explains spirituality, how our beliefs shape our reality of the vastness of the universe, the stars, time, space. There's many realities, we're just living in one of them. I imagine my life like a strand among many strands, all the different lives of me floating among the cosmos. And what a precious gift. In this reality, I'm a miraculous creation. In the other, I died before I was born. Thank you. The next set of poems are going to be a little heavy. All of these are from the collection, but I started writing this in 2017 when I was doing the MFA, and it was just the beginning of Donald Trump's presidency. And so I ended up writing a lot about immigration because at the time I just felt so angry and so horrified, and it was like a time like now where it felt like there was a new horror every day. So some of those are going to be about that, and this one that I'm going to read is, I was also writing about this anthropologist. His name is Jose de Leon, and he wrote a book called The Land of Open Graves, and he wanted to figure out how long it takes for an immigrant to die in the desert. And the reason for that is because we don't know how many immigrants have died in the desert. We have an estimate, and that estimate was based on the assumption that it takes a month for a body to decompose. And the problem with that is that if it's faster, it means that the estimate that we've been told is a lot bigger. And so I was kind of I was writing around this idea because it feels like sometimes we really don't know the number of people that die under state violence, and it's almost like another death that we can't even have a figure kind of like now. So sorry, I just wanted to give background to that poem, this poem that I'm about to read. And it starts with an epigraph from this book, and I'm just saying that because if folks are not familiar, an epigraph is just a little quote, sometimes a song lyric that a poet adds under the title, and it adds context or a reference to that poem. So this is Jose de Leon videotapes 2 dead pigs to observe how long they take to decompose. Compared to fences, motion sensors, drones, and infrared cameras, the best and most lethal weapon the Border Patrol has is nature. Jose de Leon, The Land of Open Graves. It only takes a couple of hours for a turkey vulture to smell carrion, to stand a couple of feet away from the carcass, to wait for the skin to soften, to pierce. It only takes 5 days for vultures to descend, to test if dead, to peck at the body, to tear, to make a hole at the back of the neck right behind the ear, to get at the brain. Pigs have long been a proxy for humans, scientifically. Pigs are dressed as immigrants, bra, underwear, gray t-shirt, jeans, sneakers, toddler size, large enough to cover their tiny petty toes. Pigs can be a proxy for humans, metaphorically. Birds of prey undress the dead, shred shirt, rip jeans. Bird beaks reap stomach, play tug of war with intestines. Vultures can be a proxy for humans, too. They carry the limbs away like to-go boxes. By Sabbath, they drag what's left of the body 20 meters up a hill. On the ninth day, picked clean, hardly anything left. The second pig was placed under a pile of rocks because scientists tried to replicate how immigrants will bury the dead. Under 115 degrees Fahrenheit, a pile of rocks acts as a conductor, roasts the second pig. Unearthed by ants who chip at long bones, carry the pieces to an ant hole a meter away. In a town nearby, a domestic dog comes home with a piece of bone. Dogs piss on the carpet, gnaw bone like play toys. Dogs can be a proxy for humans, too. Scientists argue the desert preserves body, hypothesized it took a month before decomposition. The government count of immigrant deaths is based on the number of bodies found. Scientists say the official number is an undercount, conclude this is an environment where people can be erased. They say pigs are a proxy for humans. Thanks. Sorry, thank you for staying with me because I know it's a lot. This next poem is also about immigration, and it's a poem I wrote when I was visiting El Paso, because at the time I was in Miami, but I came for the summer, and there was an influx of Cuban immigrants that had come to El Paso, and they were being left underneath a bridge, under a chain link fence, and I was also grappling with the horror and the violence that was happening at the border, but then also like the like the mundaneness of like everyday life and like those two things kind of like a time like now. So this one it's titled God Burns the W Silver Recycling Plant After Border Patrol Abuses Immigrants. A Border Patrol agent asks an immigrant, ¿Quién te va a ayudar ahora? The immigrant curls his lips into the shape of God, says Dios. BP responds, Dios no existe aquí. A wound in the shape of a cross reblossoms. BP stuffs immigrants into a room built for 35 with 155. No shampoo, no toothpaste. The wall opens its mouth. Poison scorpions crawl out. BP calls immigrants pigs. La Frontera is a scab that never leaves the skin. Merciless men pretend militia, point their rifles at a scared family, say, we have to go back to Hitler days and put them all in a gas chamber. History will write their crimes as patriotism. Rosaries fall in effigy from the sky. The clouds paint the faces with skulls, echo the names of the nameless. The local recycling plant burns. Today's news is reborn. God unravels a nimbus of dust and ash, grimes the sky, gray, gray, gray. Sees Oscar Alberto Martinez Ramirez and his 23-month-old daughter, Angie Valeria, float face down the Rio Grande, gris, gris, gris. Isn't it ironic? Weeks ago, dozens of Cubans yelled for help from a makeshift fence under the bridge, and we walked by. But the fire makes us stop the car, pull over, take a picture of the towering smoke, awed by that violence, indifferent to the other. The desert extinguishes God's body. It fills and falls, a soundless symphony. I have one more heavy poem and then it'll get better from there, I promise. This is titled Biblical, and it also has an epigraph from Jeff Sessions, who I'm sure you all know was behind implementing a lot of Donald Trump's policies, and he's a piece of shit. Anyway, so this is biblical. I would cite you the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government because God has ordained the government for his purposes. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, June 14, 2018. Because God asked Abraham to murder his own son, because Lucifer was an angel before he was the devil, because a Honduran father dies alone in a cell, finds release through a self-made noose, because his 3-year-old son was entwined from his hands, because a baby's lips are unloosened from her mother's nipple so both can be detained, because this is ungodly, because this is ungodly, because this is ungodly, because God filled Egypt with blood, locust gnats, slit sinister, made death out of innocence, killed every firstborn in their sleep before slicing open the Red Sea. Remember, even God dismembers bodies. This is the last poem, and it's a happier one. And this is actually one of my favorite poems. And it's after St. Anthony's Church by Eduardo Corral. And for folks that are not familiar, after just means you're referencing that poem, or you're inspired by that other poet and you're acknowledging that, or like in conversation with them. So the US-Mexico border replaces itself. Instead of a wall, glitter, ocean. Instead of a green uniform, a saguaro undress becomes a blanket of thorns. Instead of a dry river, a shot of mezcal, fire peels tongue and bone, bends body. Instead of the American flag, a bag of takis learns to speak Spanish, crinkles its plastic purple mouth. Viva Mexico, cabrones! Instead of a border checkpoint, a bouquet of periquitos flies away, all mad feathers, all azure honey scatters slashing the sky. Instead of another deportation, the slit of my mother's mouth blooms, amor. Instead of a detention facility, a house full of angels dressed as mariachis. Instead of Texas, the desert sky spills the sun, bleeds mame. Thank you.